To the outside world, Nazi Germany projected an image of absolute moral purity. The regime demanded devout loyalty, strict discipline, and perfect, wholesome Aryan families as the bedrock of their thousand-year Reich. But behind the heavily guarded doors of the Nazi elite, a completely different reality unfolded. A dark world of staggering hypocrisy, unchecked power, and explosive extramarital scandals. While ordinary citizens were ruthlessly punished for moral failures, the most powerful men in the regime indulged in illicit affairs, secret second families, and state-sponsored espionage brothels. We pull back the curtain on the secret, degenerate lives of the Nazi leadership and the shocking scandals they desperately tried to hide from the world. We begin with the ultimate architect of Nazi illusion himself, Joseph Goebbels. As the Minister of Propaganda, his entire job was to dictate morality to the German public, enforcing strict traditional family values while presenting his own marriage to Magda as the ultimate, flawless Aryan ideal. Yet behind this carefully constructed facade, Goebbels was a notorious predator who used his immense power over the German film industry to exploit young actresses. But in 1936, his habits transformed into a dangerous obsession that nearly brought down the entire regime. The catalyst was Lida Barova, a breathtakingly beautiful Czech actress who had captured the hearts of European cinema audiences. Goebbels became absolutely infatuated with her. What began as a hidden fling quickly spiraled into a public, shameless romance. They spent long weekends at Goebbels' private lake house, and he brazenly flaunted her in front of Berlin's high society. For Goebbels, it wasn't just a fleeting affair. It was an all-consuming, desperate passion. He was so blinded by his love for Barova that he was prepared to do the unthinkable: divorce his wife, abandon his high-ranking ministry, and flee to Japan to start a new life with his Czech mistress. His wife, Magda Goebbels, was humiliated and furious. Refusing to suffer in silence, she took the ultimate gamble and bypassed her husband entirely, going straight to Adolf Hitler himself. Magda presented the Führer with absolute proof of the affair and threatened a public divorce scandal that would shatter the party's pristine image. Hitler was absolutely enraged. To the dictator, Goebbels' behavior was a double betrayal. It compromised the perfect Nazi family myth, and worse, the propaganda minister was sleeping with a Slavic woman, whom Nazi racial ideology classified as an inferior race. Hitler summoned Goebbels to the Reich Chancellery for a brutal, career-defining confrontation. He gave his minister a strict ultimatum: end the relationship immediately, or face total ruin, exile, and the stripping of all his titles. Faced with the loss of his absolute power, Goebbels broke down in tears, submitted to the Führer's will, and phoned Barova to break it off. The Gestapo swiftly moved in, banning Barova's films, forbidding her from acting, and forcing her to flee the country under heavy surveillance. Goebbels was forced back into a sham marriage with Magda, a hypocritical union staged entirely for the cameras, proving that in the Third Reich, even the highest leaders were prisoners of the very lies they manufactured. Next, we look at Heinrich Himmler, the terrifying chief of the SS, and the man responsible for overseeing the industrial slaughter of millions. Within the Nazi regime, Himmler was the ultimate enforcer of morals, obsessed with discipline and ideological purity. He routinely punished SS officers for marital infidelity, viewing Sadakatsizlik as a betrayal of the sacred Aryan family. Yet the man who demanded absolute moral perfection from his subordinates was living a massive lie, maintaining a secret second family funded entirely by his position of power. Himmler's official marriage to his wife, Margarita, was cold, bitter, and completely devoid of affection. By the mid-1930s, they lived largely separate lives. In 1936, Himmler hired a young, attractive secretary named Hedwig Potthast, whom he affectionately nicknamed Haschen, or Little Bunny. She was the textbook definition of the ideal Aryan woman that the SS celebrated. It did not take long for the professional relationship to turn into a passionate, deeply hidden love affair. By 1938, the chief of the SS was completely leading a double life. This was not a fleeting casting couch romance like Goebbels. Himmler viewed Hedwig as his true spiritual wife. He used his immense authority to build a secret sanctuary for her, using discretionary SS funds to secure a luxurious house in Berchtesgaden, right near Hitler's mountain retreat. Hedwig gave birth to two of Himmler's illegitimate children, a son and a daughter. While millions were being systematically murdered under his command, Himmler would regularly escape the horrors of the Eastern Front to play the role of a doting, gentle father in his hidden, idyllic second home. The staggering hypocrisy of Himmler's secret life was even backed by his own twisted ideology. To justify his hypocrisy, he formulated a bizarre pseudo-scientific theory for the post-war world. Himmler believed that the elite men of the Third Reich should be legally permitted to take multiple wives, arguing that it was a biological necessity to produce as many Aryan children as possible to replace fallen soldiers. When his legal wife, Margarete, finally discovered the affair, she was forced to suffer in absolute silence. A public scandal would destroy the carefully crafted myth of SS honor, meaning she had to accept her husband's secret life, proving that the man who claimed to be the ultimate guardian of German morality was nothing more than a master of deception. Finally, we arrive at the most chilling figure of all, Reinhard Heydrich, the chief of the Gestapo and the ruthless architect of the Holocaust. Known as the Hangman, Heydrich projected an aura of cold, calculated precision. Yet underneath this icy exterior lay a violent, insatiable sexual appetite. Heydrich used his absolute power over the secret police as a predatory weapon, routinely coercing secretaries, actresses, and high society women into his bed. If any woman dared to refuse his advances, the terrifying shadow of the Gestapo instantly loomed over her and her family. To satisfy his desires and gather blackmail on his rivals, Heydrich established Salon Kitty, an ultra-luxurious, state-sponsored espionage brothel in Berlin. Every room was packed with hidden microphones to wiretap foreign diplomats and Nazi elites. But shockingly, the brothel's most frequent and aggressive client was Heydrich himself. His relentless, alcohol-fueled debauchery pushed his marriage to Lena Heydrich to the absolute brink. By 1938, humiliated and disgusted, Lena demanded a divorce. It took the direct, forceful intervention of the highest Nazi authorities to suppress the scandal and protect the regime's public image. Forced to stay in the marriage, Lena did not play the victim. Instead, she retaliated by engaging in her own discreet, highly protected counter-affairs. Their perfect Nazi marriage completely dissolved into a cynical, frozen alliance of power and mutual betrayal, proving that the House of Heydrich was built on the same deceit as the Reich itself. These explosive scandals, Goebbels' reckless obsession, Himmler's double life, and Heydrich's predatory depravity completely shatter the grand illusion of Nazi moral purity. The Third Reich systematically brainwashed ordinary Germans, ruthlessly punishing citizens for the slightest moral failures, all while its top leaders acted like untouchable tyrants who were completely above their own laws. Their private lives were just as hollow, corrupt, and deeply hypocritical as the monstrous ideology they forced upon the world. In the end, the carefully crafted facade of the perfect, wholesome Aryan family was nothing more than a weapon of propaganda, a grand mask designed to hide the true, degenerate nature of the monsters who ruled from the shadows.